Don't fade me, bro. This is the WeWin Sports Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the WeWin Sports Podcast. I may change the name of the podcast to Fade, Phil, and Friends. We were 2-6 this week. Horrendous. And I heard that Mikey has never given one single winner on the podcast. Mike, can you sing a song making fun of all of us, including you?
Well, you guys are all a bunch of square pegs, and I told you that last week. And that is why I never win on here, because it's on Tuesday. But today, it's Wednesday afternoon, and I actually know who's playing. And I personally have gone 8-1 on my top 3 picks on my podcast the last 3 weeks. But on the WeWin podcast, when I get out of bed, it's tough to pick winners. But today, I've got 2.
Okay, Woodley, I got to tell you something, Woodley. I'm really pissed off. All right, and not at you, okay, because you've been brilliant. But I looked, and at the podcast last week, Mike says choose the Giants, and you say we're never choosing the Giants. You say it on the podcast. People can go back and look. And then what happened? Mike texted you 95 times to tell you to pick the Giants?
He what broke me this time is, it's torture with Mike as a partner. He'll bother you nonstop while you're sleeping, while your kids are sleeping. And this week, he called me in a panic. And he was like,
I said, and the panic was don't take the Bears.
No, it wasn't that. It was take the Giants. Because I told you I was leaning the Niners.
I wish you recorded this conversation. I will lay 100,000 to 1. The exact call was, do not take the Bears. I have a very bad feeling on the Bears. That's all I'm calling you to tell you. No. That is what was said. Don't lie to the public.
We can show screenshot. Hold on. We can show screenshots of Mike putting this through.
And Mike, so you didn't, at no point did you say.
You want me to jump on? I will run off the set, okay? I know exactly what was said. My call to you was, do not take the Bears. I have a bad feeling.
That's fine, Mike. That's fine. That might have been one phone call. Hold on. That might have been one phone call. But you also sent like 30 texts to him telling him to pick the Giants. We have receipts.
We're talking about the Giants.
There was only 2 picks, the Bears and the Giants. I said, do not take the
Niners. And what did you say?
Oh, you called Saturday night. You said, I think I'm going to go with the Niners. I'm like, you really want to burn them? Yes, I think they'll win, but do you want to burn them? And then you said, okay, I'll think about it.
First of all, Mike, the deadline was 11 a.m. on Saturday, so I definitely didn't call you Saturday night about the Niners.
Friday night.
Thursday night, we talked about the Niners, and you said, don't burn them. Not only did I sit on this podcast and say I was going to take the Giants, I was on Sammy P's podcast, and I said on there, too, I actually told a story about Mike and everything, and I was like, there's no way I'm taking the Giants. And I said on there, I'm like, I'm probably leaning the Niners. But anyways, Mike, I'm a man. I can take responsibility for my own actions. He told me to pick the Giants.
He intercepted your brainwaves,
He really
Woodley.
did.
That's how I lost like 92 picks. He intercepts your brainwaves and makes somehow Mike's the only one that has this power. It's like your brain is like it's shaking in this okay.
I mean, I just wish we would have took one of my top picks, like the Saints. I love the Saints. I thought they were going to win outright. They did.
Stop. Danny, now it might be a good time for you to post Mike's 2 top picks from last week's podcast.
It doesn't matter what I do on this shit. It's what I do on my show.
Mike?
On Friday and Saturday.
Wow. Shameless promotion.
This is the classic Mike,
show.
all right? Mike, to credit Mike, he will say that the Saints were the pick, but that's also after he said Atlanta was the pick. So he'll go back and forth like 30 times. I guarantee you could find a pick. I guarantee if you went back through Mike's picks, you could find a winner for every single game ever because he flip-flops 19 times. The other thing I'll say too about Tuesday picks.
Well, yeah, I do. Literally do.
Tuesday?
Okay? I sit there and I on Tuesdays I don't even know who's playing when I get up. And then I see who's playing usually on Wednesdays. And then I go over some injuries on Thursdays. Then I make my picks. And then by Friday night or Saturday, I come up my consensus. And my consensus on my podcast, I'm 8-1 the last 3 weeks on my top 3 picks.
Okay, stop.
And if you don't believe me,
guys.
you can go look.
In your Fezzik
Okay,
podcast.
stop. Enough of this. Okay, listen. I just tell you something. Mike waits till He waits till what Steve Fezzik says. He listens to all
No,
these
you
podcasts.
picked Steve Fezzik's pick this week. You had the Rams. You
I've
were
never
all in on the
listened-
Rams. Yes, you did. How else
I've
did
never
you come up
listened
with
to
that
Steve-
pick? You had
I've
to
never
come up
listened
with
to-
that pick. That was their
I've
number
never
one
listened
pick.
to Steve Fezzik in my
That was
life.
the number one pick. Oh, I was all in on
How
Miami.
could we have done it? We put our podcast out on
Wow,
Tuesday
well,
and Fezzik's out on
obviously.
Thursday. How could we even have done it?
Oh, well, that was his number one pick. How did Miami be one of my top picks? How was I all in on Miami on this show? What did I tell you guys last
I'll
week?
have to take. I'm
Don't
blocked.
accuse me of listening to
I'm
other
blocked
people.
by Fezzik on all platforms, so I'll have to take Phil's word for it that Mike is picking Fezzik's picks, and it would do a jive.
Hey, I'm gonna. This is gonna make you guys laugh. This is really funny. Okay, so as I'm listening to like different podcasts I listen to, right? This is literally what Fezzik said. You can't make this up. Okay, I swear to God, this is a true story. He said, "I bet 28,000 to win $100 that the Democrats would not lose by 7% on the popular vote." And I'm like, what kind of a bet is that? 28,000 to win $100. Who
He won,
does
though.
that?
Okay, Mike,
Right?
stop.
Yeah, he won $100.
Yeah, he
laid
won the
28
bet. Like,
But don't you think that's pretty like?
I don't like the
who comes up
odds.
with shit?
I'm on Mike's side of this one. Come on, guys. I got to take over here. We got to move forward. Today, we'll give our 30-second rants. We'll give our pick of the weeks, and we'll chat about the $100 buy-in World Championship of Survivor Pools at Splash Sports. David Woodley's basically a professional sports bettor. Great knowledge, sharp takes. My guy Cantu has some well-thought-out contrarian takes. If you like the underdogs, contrarian Cantu is your man. At least he used to be. Mike the Mathematician knows sports, although he lost $3 million betting sports. Why do we listen to him? But last year, Mike heated up on his NFL picks. He won all kinds of contests. Bet against him at your own peril. Cantu, coming to you first. First, congrats on your hero, Russell Wilson's return to form. Your hero. But we don't want to talk about that.
come to me
Instead-
third, Phil. Come to me third. I'm after Mike and Phil today.
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry,
thought you
Mike
wanted
and
to give
Woodley.
I thought you wanted to give a little update in the Kelceverse.
Oh, I thought we were going to 30-second rants. Yes, by the way, we can go right to the Kelceverse. Let's do it. Busy week, guys. Busy week in the Kelceverse. First of all, let's see. First of all, it's the Chiefs are 9-0, so everything looks great. You know, again, another lucky win. They really are one of the luckiest teams to start a 35-yard field goal. I mean, that's bad. Second,
Cantu, Woodley, what's the math on a 35-yard field goal not being completed? Like,
33. It was 33.
Was it
I don't
33
know.
or that
If
was
it's the
35?
last, if it's the last of the game, it's probably higher than most because they're going to go out for a block, but at least 95%. At
95%?
least.
Shorter than an extra point.
No, at least
I mean,
95%.
Jesus.
Yeah.
95. They are so lucky. Continue, Cantu.
So a few things. Did you guys see that Jason Kelce and Stevie Nicks are doing a Christmas album together?
Too much.
I wanted Mike to actually sing the Christmas album, but I don't know if he's listening to it. And I wanted to play it. Some of the viewers at home got to listen to the song. It really is, I think, the worst Christmas song I've ever heard. Like, and I'm a Stevie Nicks fan.
I'm a fan of those guys, but as you know, that's too much, and I do not like the song at all.
The song was horrible. When I say horrible, it really hurt. It actually hurt my ears. Another
I have a
thing.
take on I want to have a take on the Kelceverse too when you get a chance.
Yeah, okay. Here's another quick update is now Marriott Bonvoy ads they have made him the Kelce fan, like he's the, what do they call it? The NFL fan ambassador. That's the word. I had to look it up. Where he's now wearing a chicken hat for Marriott, which is like a classy, we think of them as like the classy hotel chain. He's wearing a chicken hat, like eating fries, like kind of making completely the opposite of Marriott's brand. I mean, and lastly, I was listening to their podcast on the Kelce's podcast, and I will say Jason Kelce had one good take, and I was going to ask you guys your thoughts. 58 and 60-yard field goals, it would usually have to move the ball a few yards, and you're hitting them at this high percentages, like high 60s this year. They said they need to, Jason Kelce had a good idea at shrinking the goalposts in a little bit because they're kicking so long. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I will say this. I think it's not a bad idea. The kick. I want to go to Mike for his take on the Kelsey. But Mike, we're going to come to you. But Woodley, field goals stay the same, or we pull them in. You just say one way or another. One answer: wider or not, shorter or not, narrower or not.
I don't care. Field goals suck. Just get rid of them completely.
Okay, there you go. Mike, what do you think?
Okay,
Mike?
So my take on the other side of the Kelceverse goes to Travis Kelce. Now, at the beginning of the year, I talked about the politics of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift came out yesterday. She is selling no merchandise, and she is having 0 concerts in any towns or states that voted for Trump.
Sounds like fake
No
news.
way.
Mike. That
Yes.
sounds
You're
like
kidding.
fake
You're
news.
kidding.
No,
this
that can't be real.
No, this was on. I heard it on Fox News yesterday. They don't make up shit. Okay, and I'm telling you right now. Listen, I'm telling you
Fox
right
doesn't
now.
make stuff up. CNN doesn't
Listen.
make up stuff.
Listen. They're going to Buffalo this week. Upstate New York voted overwhelmingly for Trump.
But
Just
the
saying.
state of New York, but hold on, state of New York, you said states.
Yeah.
State of New York was
Oh,
Democrat.
what do you know?
That's
What do
true.
you know, Mike? Debunked. Taylor Swift didn't
that?
cancel shows in red states after election. That's satire. Congrats to Mike.
Mike,
Congrats
I've heard
to
enough.
Mike.
Mike, I've
was
heard
gonna
enough.
Say, I would have known.
What's
that.
unbelievable to me that Mike would say that Fox News never lies or that CNN never lies when everybody on the planet knows that they both lie. Like I'm in the middle politically, but Mike will admit they both lie. So I'm surprised
They
you said that.
They
Mike,
do
stop.
both lie, but I heard that. So I
Mike,
thought
Mike
I'd
is
throw
like,
it
I
out there,
was
but I
reading
guess
in the
it's debunked.
newspaper, The
Okay.
Onion, and The Onion, which never lies, said that, oh,
Okay, Mike, we need your 30-second rant if you're ready. If you're not ready, we're going to Woodley.
Okay, my 30-second rant from
Bring it.
last week. You got it. So, the Denver Broncos were one of my top 3 picks. The Bills were one of my top 3 picks. And the Saints were one of my top 3 picks that I ended up going with because the line moved in the Giant game from 5 to 6.5. I stayed off the game, but I'm going to tell you right now, those picks, the Bills and Denver, were all on the look ahead to this week on the Kansas City Bills game, which I have an opinion on. Stay tuned.
Okay, I like that, Mike. What do you got for us, Woodley? Rant?
yeah, the product this year is terrible, and there's been a lot of talk about why. Everyone's beaten the refs ad nauseum. Everyone's talked about like the bad quarterback play, but I think the one thing that's being left out of the equation is like just how awful the coaching is everywhere. And I'm not just talking about like not going for two at the end of the game and things like that. These coaches do not have these teams prepared like whatsoever. I mean, there's just so many dead coaches walking, like Dable, that Indianapolis coach.
The Texans coach not kicking that 60-yard field goal was insane.
Thank you for interrupting, Mike. No, they're not having these teams prepared at all, and they're not deviating from their play, their plan at all. Like for some reason, they're not like benching other quarterbacks and like bringing them in. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago with like they should have brought Richardson back in against the Vikings. Now they're making him the starter again. All this like flip flopping. These coaches are dead in the water. They're also like not prepared. Like I don't know if it's because like they're not. I don't know. What's funny? I saw something on a broadcast where it says like Mike Tomlin's like the only coach in the NFL that actually has his guys practice on Fridays. Like they actually do full walkthroughs. And like, what do you know? Like the Steelers are 7-2 or 8-2 or whatever they are, and everyone else, there's 18 teams below 500. Teams aren't practicing anymore. And I get it. A lot of it's because of the CBA, but like everybody has gone soft. I don't want to sit here and sound like one of Mike's like, conspiracy theorists, but everybody has gone soft. These coaches have gone soft. Everything's gone soft. And when these players aren't practicing, when they're not trying, the product on the field is terrible. And like, I honestly like can't remember a season where I'm just like, I don't care about the game on Thursday. I don't care about the game on Monday. I want to watch like 2 games on Sunday and that's it. And like, that's big trouble for the NFL because if old guys like us are starting to think the product sucks, anyone under the age of 30, like will tune it out in a heartbeat. So the coaching is awful.
All right, we're on to Cantu for his rant.
Yeah, my rant of the day is how awful my Sunday, how it was spent. So here's what my Sunday was like. So for some reason, I'm on West Coast time, everybody, and I usually wake up 10 a.m., 9:30 a.m., somewhere in there. For some reason, I wake up at 7 a.m. Never do I do that. And I look at the NFL chat. I'm like, oh, we got a game in Germany today. This is great. I'm going to turn on who's the Germany game. And because I see Woodley I forgot who it was. And Woodley's like, we need the Giants heavy in Survivor. And I'm like watching him blame Mike. This is where like it's fiery. I'm not even going to say what words were used in our text stream, but they were choice. And I'm like, oh boy, this is serious. We got half of our Splash Sports Survivor picks on the Giants. So I turn it on. Daniel Jones just is a terrible quarterback. He's 24-44 as a starter. He comes in, it's a flea flicker. There's two receivers wide open. There's nobody within 10 or 15 yards. It's not like there's five receivers going out wide. Daniel Jones cannot see down the field. I don't know what else to say. When he looks down and this was the whole game. He misses every receiver. He's hitting guys that are wide open screen passes thrown into their back shoulder. Guys aren't even defending him. And
they still should have won as bad as he played. They still should have won.
It was horrible. Anyways, then Woodley says, oh, we've got the Bears in Splash Survivor. We got two picks.
One pick.
I'm going to go to the Bears backer bar, Jerry's Tavern. It's going to be hot in there. Well, Jerry's Tavern, you could have heard a pin drop. I've never seen the place not slammed. People are leaving in the second quarter, third quarter. They were upset. You couldn't hear a sound. There was a guy that said, what's the coach's name of the Bears? Help me out real quick, guys.
Eberflus?
Yeah, Matt Eberflus. And this guy comes up. What's that?
Eber fired.
Oh, Eber fired. And this guy comes up, real burly Chicago guy. He comes up to me and he goes, I fucking hate Matt Eberflus. He's the worst coach in the league. As he's ordering his beer. And I said to him, what is it that you hate about Matt Eberflus? He goes, are you fucking retarded? Everything. I hate everything about him. He's the worst coach. And then everybody starts ganging up on me about just even asking what's wrong with him. And I realize this is the temperature of the whole city of Chicago. Anyways, I'm going to cut it because I get a little too lost in what I'm thinking. I'm going to cut it right there. Matt Eberflus has got to go.
Okay. And then I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's a little bit early in the season to get rid of him. Okay. Let's see. Do I even have a rant? I guess I'm just going to give a little credit to Woodley when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Woodley was really sharp when I didn't believe him at the beginning of the season, by the way, but he said Zimmer's going to be fired by week 10 or 11 or 12, which was a hell of a prediction because they were expected to win 10 games. And Dallas is going to be horrible. And so I got to give Woodley some credit there. He also told us that the Jets were going to suck and go under on the Jets. I think he's already won that win total. So this is where we bet our big money. So you might tease us at home about against the spread. And we've been horrible. But I told everybody I bet 10 times as much on the preseason totals, which we've hit 11 years in a row. 11 years in a row.
My number one pick is Arizona. I'm a half a game away from winning that.
Yeah, we did well.
Yeah, you were right about Arizona. I'll give you credit,
I had
Mike.
Minnesota.
Okay, now it's time.
I mean, I think we hit all of ours for the most part. Phil, you have Detroit, and the Ravens are going to be iffy, though. The Ravens will be close, but Detroit's going to smash it, too.
I had Detroit, too. I think the two we gave on the show, I gave Detroit and Arizona. Phil gave the Ravens in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken.
I gave the Ravens over 10.5, Detroit over 10.5. That's where I bet my real money. Now, the Ravens, I think it's a big game for them this week. We're going to talk about the Ravens-Steelers because it's a big game. But if they win, I think I'm in great shape for the Ravens at over 10.5. Their first 5 games were kind of brutal. Mike, we're coming to you. What is your number one pick?
Okay. So now we are we're recording this Wednesday afternoon instead of Tuesday morning. I have done a lot of research, and this is next week. If I'm wrong about this, you guys could rip on me. You guys can make fun of me. You could say I picked another loser.
Or hold it to them.
I am fucking confident. This is a week I'm confident as fuck with this pick. First of all, I'm on an 8-1 stretch on my top 3 picks on my podcast, and here it is.
But 0 for 10 on this podcast.
Well, that's because you make me wake up Tuesday morning. It's now Wednesday afternoon. It's different. This is my pick of the week. The Cincinnati Bengals plus 1.5 in San Diego. I mean, in L.A. at the L.A. Chargers. Why do I love this pick so much? First of all, they're desperate. I mean, the Bengals season ends if they don't win. And the Chargers, who look great, are 6-3. But let's analyze their 6-3. Their wins over Las Vegas and Carolina. They lost to Pittsburgh and Kansas City. They beat Denver against Bo Nix in Week 5. Then they lost to Kyler, who's been fantastic, in Arizona. And look at their next wins. They beat the backup quarterback with the Saints. I forgot Rattler. They beat, what's that? Was it Jameis Winston? No, it wasn't Jameis Winston. It was still Watson. And then they beat the backup quarterback for the Titans. It used to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So look who they beat. Their wins are against what's the guy's name? It starts with an R. That was backup for Tennessee. They beat Watson. They beat Rattler. They beat Bryce Young, and they beat Gardner Minshew. I mean, this team, they beat nobody, and their losses are to Kyler, Patrick Mahomes, and they got beat by even Fields in Week 3. I mean, I don't think this team's beat anybody, and I think that they're going to get the shit kicked out of them by the Bengals, and I don't even think it'll be close.
Okay, Woodley, what do you make of that pick?
Mike says a lot. There's a lot of words there, but the reality is you can pick apart every team you want. I mean, they won 6 games. I don't think they've given up 20 points all season, and when you're not giving up 20 points all season, and all your offense has to do is race to get 17 to 20 points, you're gonna win.
Well, of course you don't give 20 points up. They played the 6 worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Of course they don't give up 20.
Their defense has been really good overall, though, Mike. I mean, you act like they were torn up in those other games, and like that.
I do agree.
What's the line on it?
Agree. In the Arizona game,
it's 1.5.
They're 1.5.
Yeah, so basically it's a pick 'em. No, I like the Chargers. They're playing really well. They're playing sound. They're not turning the ball over. They're getting turnovers. Like I agree. They're winning, and the Bengals are they're a mess. I mean, the market continues to love them. You guys come on here, not you guys, but Mike comes on here every week and continues to pick them. Like the entire market picks them every single week. And what do? They just keep losing games. Like they're not a good team. We have to stop thinking. Everybody still looks at them as the team that made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. That's just not them.
But they put up 35 a week. You don't think they're going to score at least 24 against Chargers?
I don't think they'll score 20.
I will say though, they were 6.5-point underdogs to the Ravens. That's not an easy game that you guys are talking about last week.
I had the Bengals last week.
They lost. They were a 2-point conversion away from possibly winning in the final minute.
Yeah, but
going ahead.
They don't know how to win.
They lost by 1. That is a tough
they're
game.
losing. They're losing every
That's
game.
a tough game.
They're losing every game, and they're absolutely crushed at this point. They can't make the playoffs. Like they would have to pretty much win out to make it. Like
no, that's not true, Woodley. That's not true. The Bengals are 4-6. They're 1 game out of the playoffs. So let's not say they can't make the playoffs.
They have to win this week.
So, Mike, would you say, hold on, Mike, is this a Super Bowl for the Bengals?
Okay, well, last week we talked about it in our little text. I gave
Mike, is it the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Mike, let us know.
I gave you one Super Bowl pick last week. I said the Miami Dolphins it was their Super Bowl last week. I was right.
Yes.
This is the Bengals.
Okay. I'm so fucking.
Guys, write that down, Danny.
Here's
Can
the
you
thing.
flash
Here's the thing.
Bengals Super Bowl today?
I'm so fucking tired about hearing about the Bengals and their potential. All right, let's turn it back around on Mike. Who have the Bengals beat? Oh, the Giants. Okay, they beat the Browns with whoever the hell with Winston. I think not Winston. No, sorry, that was Watson. Watson was playing then. They beat the Raiders. Ooh, great team there. And they beat the Panthers. Wow, Mike. I mean, just a fucking murderer's row of teams they've been beating.
But look at their losses. They had the game won. They had the games won against these other teams. They gave away 4 games.
Does this every week. Just like the Titans gave away the 52-14 loss against Detroit because they had more yards. I mean, I give Mike this. Like, Mike is the master of spin because he can find reasons for it. Like, yeah, they gave up.
My cat just shit in the fucking box. I can't. Oh, God. Hold on a minute.
Danny, I know you're at Mike's house. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to finish up on the Bengals. I happen to love the Bengals. Woodley doesn't. By the way, the Bengals are getting a point and a half.
I got to talk on it too. Go ahead.
And so I love the Bengals. Now I'm coming to you, Cantu.
By the way, the Bengals, it's amazing when they're 4-6 and most teams are usually out of it. As you look, they're tied with the Colts at 4-6. Who are 1 game back of the Broncos that I'm not that high on. I know they played the Chiefs that tough. They're 5-5. And who's after that they got to catch? It's the Chargers. So this is a big game for the Bengals. I mean, they're right in the middle of the playoff race. But I'm going to go, I like the Chargers. They're 6-3. I think they're playing good. It's, as I said last week, they're my favorite team against the spread of where the lines makers have them. With that said, the Bengals are one of my favorites as well, but I'm going with Chargers this week, and for a lot of the reasons we've already talked about.
Okay. So interesting. It's kind of split 2 and 2 here. Mike and I are aligned on the Bengals. All right, Woodley. Actually, Cantu, let's go to your number 1 pick, which also happens to be my number 1 pick.
Guys, at Jerry's Tavern, these are the 2 biggest teams. This is a Bears bar and a Packers backers bar because the wife's a Packers fan and the husband is a Bears fan. The line is -5.5 Packers, and they're at the Bears.
It's 6.5.
5.
It's 6.5.
What are you talking about?
what
I
are you
just saw
talking
5 on my
5.5.
site, Mike.
When I
Are we
went to
going to
bed,
debate this?
It was
Yes, I guess
6.5
we
when I
have
went
to
bed.
because it's a big difference.
When you went to bed, why are you giving us a number from last night, bro? I saw 5 today.
It's moved down.
Now Mike's going to waste 30 seconds to confirm the line is 5.5.
Mike,
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, you're wrong. Anyways, I love the Packers. I absolutely, the Bears are atrocious. I think
5.5.
you want to talk about a team.
I see 5.
You want to talk about a team that has lost the locker room. It's Eberflus. I think they haven't scored a touchdown in over like 2 games. I can't remember what it is. Like, what is it? 26 drives or 28 drives or whatever it's been. Their offensive line is absolutely horrible. I wish Mike would have told us this because he forgot to data scrape Fezzik's podcast and tell us there was 4 offensive linemen out. The Patriots, it was the second highest sacks. They got sacked 9 times. It was the second highest sacks in Patriots team total or team history. And that's not some great defense. Oh my God, the Bears are an absolute disaster. I think they win big.
Okay, I'm coming with this is my number 1 pick. And by the way, the Packers are coming off a bye and they've owned the Bears. And I don't know what's happening. You know, Caleb Williams started off really bad. He had like a minor game or 2, but people are still looking at like the Caleb Williams of USC for whatever reason. And I just don't think he's done very well. I don't know how Mike said it's been 3 games since I scored it. Is that even possible?
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
But Caleb Williams looks horrendous to me, and the Packers coming off a bye, they're gonna. And by the way, it's I used to live in Madison. That's a real close. Like it's almost not even an away game for them, and it's almost like their record against the Bears the last 10, 20 years is phenomenal. I think the Packers are going to roll in this. They're going to win big. That's my number 1 pick. That's Cantu's number 1 pick. Woodley.
It seems almost too obvious, but that Bears team is they're a mess. I mean, there's 1 of 2 things happen this week, right? The Packers won by a bunch, and they fired the head coach or whatever. I know they don't fire head coaches mid-season, but like
they fired the offensive coordinator. You know that
they've been asking the players like, is the locker room behind the coach? And that's a very easy answer. That's a very easy question to answer. And they're either saying not really or no comment. And you're like, wow, that says it all. So Green Bay is going to either win by like 30 and they're going to have to fire everybody. They're going to bench Caleb, or somehow the Bears are going to have one last stand against their big rival. I like the Packers, but I will caution this in saying that like the Packers and also like the Lions have been getting really, really, really lucky in some of their games. Like the Packers have been, the way they've been winning some of these games, they've had a lot of the, like all the fumbles are going their way, all the tip balls are going their way. Like all this sort of stuff. So if you believe in variance swapping back the other way, the Packers are due for like a lot of weird shit to happen, but I don't see it. I don't see it.
Okay, thanks, Wishy Wadley. Thanks for like all the wishy washy stuff. But your Packers, Mike, is this a consensus pick, or are you going to take the?
I don't want to be wishy washy, but I'm kind of leaning what Woodley says here. Okay, I don't go against line moves that move the 1.5. Okay, that's sharp money, and them coming off of this, you'd think like it's, oh wow, the Bears have lost it. Look what the disaster the last 2 weeks have been. They fired the offensive coordinator, but now the Sharps have moved this line from when I went to bed yesterday from 6.5 down to 5, and that means one of two things. I heard that the players wanted Baggett to replace Williams, not the offensive coordinator to be fired. So I don't know if they have given up on Williams or not. I agree 100% with what Woodley says. I'm staying away from this game. I don't go against 1.5 point line moves early in the week.
I want to say something real quick.
Mike, you got it. So you're going to pass?
Yeah, he's going to pass. It's a consensus pick then if he passes. So
Danny, write down a consensus pick. Can't do.
I want to add one thing. I completely disagree because at Jerry's Tavern, he has 20 TVs. He even has like some 12 inches, some 65 inches. He does not let a TV go that's not on the Bears Patriots. I watched every second in misery of this game.
I'm going to look at injury reports.
The problem with the Bears, it's not Caleb Williams. He has no time to throw the football. It looks like Tecmo Bowl. Have you ever played the original Tecmo Bowl when you call the play and the whole line just goes, it just hits you? That's what it looks like to me. He has no time.
Okay, all right, guys. Danny, please post us a consensus pick. Woodley, we're coming to you for your number one pick.
Yeah, so the team that is 7-3 and 7-3 against the spread, if you got them on last Tuesday's line, which we did pick them, we had the Vikings last week -4, and for all the shit Mike wants to talk, if we would have waited till Wednesday or Thursday, we would have lost because it quickly moved to 6.5 once it was announced that it moved to 6.5. It moved to 7 actually when it was announced that Mac Jones would start. All right, so we get the win for the Vikings on that one because we got it in early enough. I'm going to go back with the Vikings.
Yay, we're 2-6.
I'm going to go back with, but it's important. It shows we got the right line. So I'm going to stay on it. Again, they're 7-3 against the spread. They're 7-3 overall. They completely dominated the Jags, but they didn't have a single touchdown, and they threw 3 interceptions, 2 of them in the end zone, and they still won. All right. They're going so a couple of things. That defense is humming, right? So the Vikings are playing really, really good football. This is like the ultimate bounce back Sam Darnold week, right? Like we know that he's better than this. Like they're gonna make, trust me, they'll make a point.
Wait, Woodley, let me ask you this. Woodley, 2 weeks ago their defense was amazing. Their defense was great again.
Mm-hmm. They're going to make a point of emphasis this week to like show that they have confidence in Darnold. You're going to get Justin Jefferson back on track. I think they're going to throw early and often and get some touchdowns. I think the Vikings completely steamroll them. I mean, the Titans are a complete mess. I don't think you can say anything good about that team. And that, they brought Will Levis back or whatever. And so Sunday was a bummer, right? Getting booted from a Survivor and stuff. But if I recall correctly, the Titans were never in that game. They got completely smoked by the Chargers.
That was easy. That was the last one was easy.
Yeah. Never. I agree with you on that.
Okay, so I love your pick, Woodley. I'm going with the Vikings. That defense just travels. It's unbelievable. Who would have thought the Vikings defense would be so good? Not me. Who would have thought that Darnold would be so good? Only the Minnesota homer, Woodley, would have thought that. And the Vikings are impressive, and now they're on the road again. I like your pick. I'm going with that. I'm going to say the Vikings, and they are fun to watch. I agree. I was private jetting from Vegas to Chicago. Woo-hoo-hoo! Bragging. Mikey. Vikings.
I
-6 on the road.
This is their second road game in 2 weeks. The Titans are still ranked in the top 10 defensively. Their defense has been great. Their offense has been a disaster. This is we don't pick totals on this show, but this looks like a very low scoring game. And I just can't lay 6 on the road in a low-scoring game. So I'm going to pass again. I can't lay 6 on the road. Darnold has thrown 3 interceptions, I think, in back-to-back weeks, and they just their offense is a disaster.
Mike, I want to say a couple things. First of all, Danny, post our top 4 picks right now. I think I'm going to have a great week in Mark's league. And by the way, you can bet me $500 that I win more games than you this week. Bet or not, Mike? PH 18 against you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we got to bet. I finished at the bottom of the league like 2 weeks in a row, but I win the league more often than you 3 people combined for whatever reason.
I spotted you 5 wins and I passed you in 2 weeks.
I know, that's for $5,000. That one hurts, by the way. But okay, so we're going to come to Mike. This is a pick'em show. So I don't know, maybe you can pass. If you pass on all 8 picks, then we can't make fun of you next week.
That's true. I thought if you don't like a pick, you could pass it. Okay, well, I don't like the pick. I would go with the Titans +6.
Okay, you're on the Titans. Okay, all right, Mikey, we're going to stay on you.
Hold on. Can I give some analysis, Phil? Am I allowed to give some
analysis?
Sorry,
Cantu, sorry. Cantu, I'm going to make it easy on you. Just give us the Minnesota game, and then I'll go to Mike for a second.
I usually just follow Woodley. To be honest, his Vikings analysis has been on. I've agreed with most of what he said, so I'm copying Woodley's pick. That's all I'm going. I'm going Vikings.
That's fair. Okay, Mikey, we're coming to you for your number 2 pick.
Okay, I've been bouncing back and forth between the number 2 pick and I don't like Monday Night Football, so I was going to take Cowboys, but they're so bad. So I'm going to go with my original number 2 pick. This is I feel pretty darn confident in this game, and I've already bet this, by the way, and that is the Raiders +7.5 against the Miami Dolphins. Miami is, I told you it was their Super Bowl last week. I think they're really, really good, okay? But they're on a short week versus a team coming off the bye. And this team that's coming off the bye fired everybody on the offensive side. They've fired the quarterback's coach, the offensive coordinator. Everybody that has anything to do with the offense has been fired. They've replaced them, and they've had 2 weeks to prepare for a team on a short week. I think Miami wins, but I like getting 2 scores here and off a short week. I just think this is a really good play.
Well, I mean,
Woodley.
I would like to bet imaginary lines too, Mike, but it's 7. I don't know if it was 7.5 when he went to bed last night.
Yeah,
it's 7 every.
Yeah, it was.
It's 7 everywhere.
I took 7.5.
Imaginary lines.
I took 7.5. No, I did lay $1.15. I'm not gonna lie. So
okay.
So Mike, you want the players at home to lay $1.30 and take the 7.5?
No, you can lay $1.20 at 7.5.
Okay, all right. Mike's pick is all right. So he's going to lay the $1.20. We'll give him that. Woodley.
Yeah, I like Miami touchdown favorite. They impressed me. Now I watched about 3 minutes of the game, but I followed along on the ESPN app. But they were moving the ball pretty well, and even without like Tyreek Hill doing much. The Raiders are bad. The Miami, I mean, this is their Super Bowl. Like Miami can't lose like for a while.
Hold on. Is it Woodley? Mike, would you agree that this is the Dolphins Super Bowl?
No, last week was their Super Bowl because they had the Raiders this week and the Patriots.
Another Super Bowl if you win.
They had the Raiders this week and the Patriots the following week. I just think laying over 1 score in the NFL. I mean, like I said, I just like the points here.
Here's the thing. I mean, they can't. They're 3-6. Like they have to win these. They have to win these games. Well, I don't know. I guess the AFC's dog.
What does winning and covering the spread have to do with anything?
Well, they're going to come out.
If you think Miami, you could take Miami on the money line.
They're going to run them out. They're going to run them out at the stadium, and they only need to win by a touchdown. So no, I like Miami. I like them big. I mean, the Raiders are a mess. I mean, the Raiders are tanking, and they should be tanking because they don't have a quarterback. And I don't know how the quarterback draft class is this year, but like if you look at like the race for the number 1 pick, man, there's a ton of teams that are like 2 wins or 3 wins, and like these teams have to start losing to get these good picks. So I think Vegas is legitimately in full tank mode. I think Miami has to win. I think Miami wins by a lot.
I love Miami. I'm going to say I love Miami. I think Miami could win this by 17 points. They did look incredible. I think the Rams are a really good team, and Miami just kind of crushed them. I was shocked. They crushed them. And I just think Tua's another guy. And so, I mean, like they had that taste of losing. They lost all those games in Miami, and now Tua's back. and they just seem like they're ready to win. They have a taste for winning. I think they're going to win big. Cantu?
I'm going the other way. I love the Raiders, and I don't agree with Woodley's point. I don't think I think the players kind of love playing for Antonio Pierce. He's not a guy that's going to be tanking. He's kind of coaching. He's on a long-term deal. He's probably not technically coaching for his job, but he's not one that's laying down. I think he still has the team. They're playing all right. I think the Raiders they have a great defense, and it's something that I think the Dolphins struggle with, is playing teams with hard-hitting defenses. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it might come down to like a last-second field goal. And I almost even like some Raiders money line. I'm completely on the other side from you guys on this pick, so we'll see. I'll take the Raiders.
Okay, guys. All right, so we're going to go to Woodley for his number 2 pick. That one was split. It's a very rare thing, because what I've noticed over the years is a lot of times Mikey and Cantu have been on the same side, but also Woodley to pick a team laying 7. That means something to me too. But let's move on. We're split on that one. Woodley, number 2 pick.
Well, I'm only doing it once on this because I'm going with Seattle 6.5 at San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco. I think there's a lot of. I think I don't like using the word square. I think it's belittling, and the reality is, it's like nobody can really beat the NFL anyways. But I do think it's like one of those ones where if you just look at it, it screams San Francisco like is going to win by a lot, because they beat Seattle by a few scores last time. But again, I watched that game. I mean, I remember watching that in Vegas, and Seattle was hanging with them blow for blow. I mean, they were scoring, they were coming back, they were scoring. They kept being like a 2-score game, 1-score game, and then like Seattle had a chance, I think, to tie it.
But it was on a short week too.
Yeah, it was.
It was on
Thursday,
a short week
it was
too.
like a Thursday night game, and then something happened. Like DK Metcalf fumbled it, or Geno threw like an awesome pick as he usually does. But I like Seattle keeping it close here. You know, it's a rivalry game. I mean, Seattle, the NFC West is like, it's literally anybody's ball game right now. Like suddenly, like the Cardinals, I don't know if San Francisco's the odds-on favorite still, I'm sure, but like Cardinals are in a really good spot. If Seattle can beat San Francisco, then all of a sudden Seattle has a really good shot to like win that division. So I mean, Super Bowl, blah blah blah. This is a huge game for Seattle. I think if you actually looked at like the percentage of making the playoffs if they win this versus lose it, I bet Seattle probably goes up to somewhere between like 50 and 65 if they win. If they lose this, it's probably under 20, and they probably miss it. So I mean, they're coming off a bye, they're getting healthy. JSN, Jackson Smith Najigma, had his breakout game that everybody was waiting for. He went for like 170 yards last game. There was like 3 holding calls. He would have been over like 260. All right, you have him there. He's arrived. Now you have DK Metcalf coming. You have a Niners defense that I'm still not sold on. McCaffrey, you know, whatever. I don't think he had that massive of a game. I could be wrong. But the Niners, they're showing the stressors, man. I mean, like, Debo is out there like choking or almost choking like a long snapper in a game where it was like tied at the time. Yeah, they're missing field goals. Like, they're in disarray. Like, Seattle keeps this one close, and listen, like, Seattle could win this one outright, and if they do that, like, watch out San Francisco. Like, they feel on the precipice of an explosion.
Woodley, not so fast, Woodley. I love the 49ers in this game. I think they're an elite team, and they're hungry. Yes, Seattle's coming off a bye, give you that. Seattle's hungry, give you that. But I think San Francisco is going to smash them. I think that everybody's going to be on fire. I think there's going to be like 5. I mean, McCaffrey's going to score 3 touchdowns. I think they have all of their components are healthy right now. San Francisco's going to smash them. Cantu, you're a Seattle homer.
Not so fast, Bill. Not so fast. I'm going Seattle. And not only am I going Seattle, guys, money line Seattle. I think this is exactly what the doctor ordered right here. Is this week bye. DK Metcalf coming back. They have missed him so much. A star is absolutely born in Seattle with Jackson Smith. He is. I think he's on his way to being a superstar, top five receiver in the NFL. He is making some plays that are out of this world. And like with calls, like holding calls, like Woodley talked about, there's some holding calls that didn't affect the play at all. That, you know, took a bunch of yards off the board for him. I love Seattle. I think their whole defense was hurt. Or do you guys remember when the whole defensive line was hurt? They're healthy. I think you're going to start to see the Seattle we saw the first 3 weeks. The whole team is back. Needed this bye.
You mean when they won against 3 cupcakes the first 3 weeks?
Exactly.
Okay, Mike.
Well, I think they'll be back.
Okay, Mikey.
I feel pretty good here, going with Woodley and Cantu here. The reason why is you saw the San Francisco with McCaffrey back, coming off of a bye versus a team on a short week, and they needed a last-second field goal to beat Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay is a unbelievable 4-6 team. This team has 6 cupcakes coming up. They have a great chance to run the table. Their losses are to like they beat Detroit.
Who are you talking about, Mike?
Tampa Bay. And last week, Tampa Bay gave San Francisco, coming off a bye, all they could handle. With that said, you have Seattle with basically their season on the line. Now, Frisco's season is also on the line. Both teams need this game. This is going to be a hard-fought battle, and I like 6.5 points here. I mean, I think that Seattle will not give up. If they get down by 13, they'll be going for it on their own 40. They know that they have to do anything they can to try and win this game.
Mikey,
I love 6.5.
Not so fast. The 3 of you against me. I love my side. I made a big bet on this game. It's the return of the squares. Cantu, give us your number 2 pick.
We're nothing like we're going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars at Detroit Lions. Nothing like finding yourself a 13-point.
14. It's 14
Well,
now.
it's 13 at DraftKings. It's 13 at DraftKings, and there's some it's the 13 because it's such a big line. There's some 13 and a half, 14 out
It's 14
there.
across the board now where I'm looking.
Okay, what about what is it at DraftKings where you're looking, Mike? Tell me DraftKings because you see across the board. Anyways, I'm going to go 13. You can take 14 on your other side. I think the Lions roll them. Trevor Lawrence hurt. There's really nothing good to say about Jacksonville, and I'm not a Mac Jones fan. This is more me hating Mac Jones. I don't like him. I think the Jaguars. I like Trevor Lawrence. You guys always bash him. I think he's a good quarterback. Now you're getting to see how bad their offense really is. This I think could just get real out of hand. Another 52-14, 52-7 type game.
Okay, all right. You know what? It's been really fun to watch Detroit, and they never take their foot off the accelerator. They've been playing tough against everybody, every snap. I mean, they've been just an absolute pleasure to watch. So I see 13.5 on my side. So I'm going to take that, or 13, but whatever. I also like Detroit. Don't love them, but like them. Mike?
Yeah, I don't lay 14 in the NFL with a gun to my head. If you gave me the final score. So Lions off an incredible emotional win where the coach gave the game away after the refs took the game from them. So basically they miss a pass interference, and then they don't go for it on 4th and 4, which is ridiculous because going to kick a field goal where even if they make it, Detroit would have had 2 minutes and 2 timeouts. That was absolutely absurd. And I thought the coach, because Woodley was bringing up coaching earlier in the podcast, was awful. And they gave that game to Detroit. I'm never laying that kind of wood ever. So I would definitely take the Jaguars or no pick.
Okay, I'm going to go to my number 2 pick here. By the way, Mike, because you were 11 minutes late for the podcast, CEO Woodley had to go pick up his kids, so we're going to excuse him for that. All right, I'm going with the Ravens -3 at the Steelers. I hate picking against the Steelers. I just think the Ravens are an elite team. I have been stunned at how bad their defense has been. But I just keep thinking they're going to figure it out. 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 But I think that it's Pittsburgh's been on this nice run. Their defense is phenomenal. Russell Wilson's looked good. I think they're due to just finally lose one. They are at home, but I'm going with the Ravens -3. That offense is unstoppable, even by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I suspect you two guys are going to be on the other side. Mikey.
All right. Well, this game here is now 3 -20 on the Ravens. So basically 3.5, or 3 if you want to lay the juice. This is a game the Ravens have to win. Okay, if the Ravens win, They're basically tied with Pittsburgh plus the tiebreaker because the Ravens have 3 losses, right? Or they have 4. Ravens have 3. Okay. And so this is a game that they've been circling. It's one of the reasons last week that I thought the Steelers were the right side against Washington because they had to win that game because they knew they had the Ravens on deck here. If Pittsburgh loses, they'll be down the tiebreaker, but they'll also be they'll be tied in the division. These two teams every single year they play a 3-point game. It doesn't matter when the Steelers are dog shit. It doesn't matter when the Ravens are great. If you look back over the years, it's always a 3-point game. If I had to take anybody, the Ravens defense is terrible. And since Russell Wilson has replaced Fields the last 3 weeks, the Pittsburgh Steelers are putting up 30 a week, 28, 29. They're going to put up 28 again. And you have to ask yourself, can the Ravens put up the 30 they put up every week against that Pittsburgh defense that looks absolutely unbelievable? I mean, I don't know. TJ Watt is so good. They got another guy they just got from Carolina because Hightower was out to replace him. This is gonna. I just don't know. I think the Ravens do win. I think they're a better team, but the Steelers, who I was against early in the year, and
Cantu, guess what? Mikey's gonna pass. All right, Cantu, what do you like?
Mike with a league-leading passes.
Not really a league-leading pass.
First person to pass 3 times.
I can't lay 3 with the Ravens, and I'm gonna pass.
First person to pass 3 times, Mike. I like
that's
that.
a record. Yeah.
Yep.
Some people would say that he's a wimp.
Yeah, I'm going to give a bonus pick. With not only am I going to take the Steelers +3, I'm also at FanDuel. You can get the Steelers 35-1 to win the Super Bowl. Now, I know that's not really on everybody's radar. I'm talking. This is a long shot pick. Would I take them to win the Super Bowl? No, but at 35-1 with a defense like that, they can get hot. If Russell Wilson,
I like it.
If Russell Wilson keeps playing hot like this, they're going to be scary. That defense is so good. Bosa is so good. How he just forces a fumble and recovers it every time. It's amazing. Like, it's artful. It's always like on the final drive of the game or final 2-3 drives that he makes this.
You're talking about TJ Watt.
You meant.
Oh, I'm sorry. TJ Watt. Yes.
I think of Bosa and Watt being very similar, though. Yeah.
I do feel like they are very similar.
Yeah.
I love the Steelers. How is that not flexed to the Sunday night game? How are they putting Chargers?
I like the Steelers too, but the thing is like this game is like 3 minus 120. You're going to be able to get 3.5. And
wait! Mike just jumped off the bench and said he jumped off the fence post and he said, "All right, I do like the Steelers."
After I gave that secret Super Bowl pick, Mike really came back.
I'm sitting here. I'm starting to get.
I like the defense wins championships. You see, the 2 best defensive teams in the NFL in the AFC have the 2 best records. That's Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Okay, defense wins championships, and I like what I'm seeing out of Russell Wilson. I mean, granted, they haven't.
My favorite player, Mike.
They haven't beaten like top teams, but Washington, I know their back end of the defense sucks, and that's why they got Martin and Lattimore. But you know what? I like the way this team's playing. They're getting better every week. You look at Tomlin's like the smirks after he wins games. The way like he's looking at it like nobody's picking us, motherfucker. I'll show you, and you can just see it in his face.
Mike, you lost a lot of money on the Steelers the last couple of years betting. You're going to lose a lot to me this week because you made a big bet that they would win under 8.5 games. Yeah. But the fact that you've been converted tells me they're playing some great ball because I know you watch all these games. Steelers is one of the ones we watch the most. Danny, post all 4 of our number 2 picks.
What was Woodley's number 2 pick? Oh, yes. Oh, Seattle was his number 2. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, guys, we bought a bunch. I'm just going to go through this quickly. So we paid $25,000 to buy 250 survivor picks at splashsports.com, 1 million guaranteed. $100 a piece. That's $25,000. And Survivor picks, Cantu blew $10,000 worth by week 2. God knows why, because listening to Mike. Woodley's managing 150 picks for us. Now, there's about 60 left. Call it 80 left. We still have 2 picks. First place is $1 million. So I know that Woodley and I talked about this, so I'll speak for him. He's looking at 2 or 3 teams. He was even thinking about Kansas City. Do you know who else he was talking about?
Sorry, I thought you were trying to say if we had 2 or 3 picks left. We have 2 picks left.
We have 2 picks left, and then he's looking at and I'll tell you this, guys. I'm in Splash Sports. Okay, there's 10 players entered, $50,000 each. I have $25,000 of my cash on this, so I took half of a pick. We're down to 5. I was telling my guy, who do you guys like? Because we can either take the Niners, okay, or we can take Miami. And then it's easy. Next week's Houston. We already have it diagrammed out the next 3 weeks. But it's getting by this week that so I can take San Francisco at home. No. All right. Or we can take Miami. One is 6.5, one is 7.5. I almost don't want to ask Mike because he's probably
this is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to take Miami because you
can't use them again.
No-brainer.
What's that? Oh, you said you don't have any Miami? I thought you said you did.
No, we won't be able to use them again. So it might be a good time to pick
the reason why I think Miami's going to win, I just don't think they're going to cover. But like I've said this all year long, and I've been dead right on this. Is like in Survivors, you stay away from division games, okay? And you're talking.
Yeah, but Mike, there's 5 teams left, so I mean it's a little tougher. You might want to use some chalk here. What do you think?
I'm not using San Francisco.
As much as I don't usually like divisional games, do you have the Packers left?
We do have the Packers. If we have the Packers left, I kind of like the Packers.
Rule number 1. No. Rule number 1 is Survivor.
It is a divisional game.
You never take divisional road teams in Survivor. Ever. That's rule number 1 of all Survivors. So.
Oh, then we might have to take the Packers.
No, they're a division road team.
I know, Mike, but that tells me I don't always believe in your rules. You know what I'm saying?
Go look it up. What
also, Phil, do you have the Rams?
Go Google it, bitch.
Phil, do you have the Rams left?
Yes.
Or minus.
Oh no, we used the Rams. Sorry, we used the
minus
Rams.
-4.5 at Patriots is a fun play.
So I mean,
look at the fact that what I said last week. Miami should have beat Arizona.
Mike, hold on, Mike.
Double digits.
I'll tell you this much: we're not taking Houston because of that Detroit thing. Whoever plays Detroit's beat up.
Correct.
So Houston's going into Dallas, but we're not taking that. So
that's why I like Cowboys. That's one of the reasons why I almost took the Cowboys as my number 2 pick instead of the Raiders is because teams that play Detroit are now officially 0-9 against the spread the following week. Okay, I mean, and you're getting 2 scores. So Cowboys were almost my number 2 pick, but I ended up going with the Raiders.
And then I think also, so we have a plan. So it's going to be, we're using Houston next week, Tampa Bay the week after, Philly or San Francisco the next week, and then Minnesota. So we already kind of have the next 5 plotted out. But this one, we could go Packers, we could go Niners, we could go Miami. I'm leaning towards Miami.
Also, I know
like
you've
Miami
already said that you have it plotted out, but I might circle back around because I don't know what happens in 5 weeks. But the Vikings on the road at Tennessee, that's kind of a nice one. I just don't think Tennessee is going to win that game.
I think they have a layup 5 weeks from now.
Do you know how hard back-to-back roads are? I mean, I don't. The Vikings aren't very good. Their offense is terrible.
Okay, guys, now's our chance to tease Woodley a little bit since he's not here. We always tell Mikey stories when Mikey's not here. So can we tease him without going into
Yeah.
What do you got on Woodley, Mikey?
Well, I mean, his 2 biggest homers is his number 1 and number 2 picks again this week. He's a fucking Seattle homer and a Minnesota homer.
You're right.
So like there he goes. Oh, my number 1 pick is Minnesota. My number 2 pick is Seattle. Oh, really? That's what I mean, give me a fucking break. You know what I'm saying? Like he thinks that this Minnesota team is like a top team. Their defense is fucking really, really good. Sam Darnold is really, really bad, and he's reverted to it. He threw 3 picks last week. You know that Minnesota became the first team in NFL history to not score a touchdown, turn the ball over 3 times, and win a fucking game in history. Okay? I'm not a big... Sam Darnold is the Sam Darnold we always know he was. Okay? The Titans are a top 7 ranked defense. Okay, they're going to struggle to score points, but so are the Titans. This is going to be another low-scoring game. Will it be 9-6 again, or what? What was the game last week? 9-6, 9-7. I think it's going to be like 13-10. You know what I mean? All
right, Cantu, you got a Woodley story? Because Mike nailed it. I mean, Woodley always picks Minnesota. He always picks Seattle. Homer Woodley.
I'll do.
He's been right about Minnesota, though.
We can be real hard on this podcast with Mike, and Mike is kind of an easy target and fun. He throws it back at us. It's kind of fun to make fun of. But let me tell you guys, Woodley on our group chat was harsh on Mike this week, and I was uncomfortable. I had to.
And then he called me and apologized.
Hold on, wait! Don't tell me yet, because I don't know anything about this apology call. Like, he is now starting. So, for instance, I think we have 7 or 8
Be careful what words you use, Cantu. We don't want to throw
we have
Woodley
7
on the
or
bus.
8 people in our group chat. I think every combination that you can think of 7 or 8 people, like side conversations, like me, Woodley, Phil. It'll be me, Ben, Woodley, Phil, me, Nick, Jason. I mean, any kind of combination. Me, Woodley. Like any combination. Mike ruined it. He cost us $1 million. Like, I can't believe I never listened to him.
$14 million.
Yeah, he cost it. Well, I had a piece of the splash one for the $1 million. I did not have a piece of the $14 million. He cost Woodley $14 million. His family could have been sitting nice. I mean, I earned everything.
Well, listen, in all reality, okay, and I had 20% of them, so that's $2.8 million of my money out the door too. I called Woodley, and this is fact. You could fucking ask him. Okay, I called him on Wednesday night.
Mike,
okay?
Mike, I don't want Mike
you need to
Cantu
hear
and
this.
Cantu and Cantu
shut
and I.
the fuck up, okay? And then we're gonna get back to this, okay? So I called him. I said, "Listen, Woodley, please don't take the Bears. They're in disarray. I have a bad feeling on them." And he goes, "Okay, I'll consider it." Okay, and so that was really all it was said. Okay, then he on Friday night, he says, "I think I'm taking San Francisco." My exact words were, San Francisco should win off of the Tampa Bay being on a short week and them coming off a bye. But do you want to burn them? That's what you have to ask yourself. And that was all that was said. And by the way, Woodley did call me after he went nuclear after the fucking Giants loss, like blaming me for the whole world, right? That he apologized to me.
It is fun to watch Woodley go nuclear.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand, like I hang out with some really fun people, and sometimes the stuff they say that could get canceled. Great hearts, great people, but the world would be like, "Oh, he said that, he said this," and everybody would be way too sensitive. The woke people would attack. And so, Woodley gets a little nuclear, but I mean, we all kind of know it is what it is, and we all love Woodley.
Yeah.
And listen, you know what? Let's give some credit. Credit is due to me and Phil, okay? The election line was almost pick 'em, and I had given Phil 3-1, and Phil would not let me buy out for like what the right price was. And because me and Phil both felt the election line should have been 3 or 4-1, and we both thought it would be over by 7 o'clock. It was over by 6:30 in the night. So, Phil, good pick on the election.
The other thing, it kind of threw me off today because I thought Woodley was gonna. I didn't know he'd apologize to Mike. I thought because I told Phil I want to go after Mike, I want to go after Woodley, which it kind of ruined my rant today because I thought it was gonna be hard hitting. Like I thought Woodley was gonna just roast Mike where he might have like stormed off and thrown a headset. I thought it was gonna be nuclear. So I got Woodley gets.
Woodley gets really emotional in the text, but I think he settles down and realizes, and he'll call people and apologize, which you gotta love. So
yeah.
Listen,
anyway,
if the Bears would have won and the Giants would have lost, it would have been all over for me. Because the only thing I just said I insisted was this: there's disarray with the Bears, and again, with your Green Bay pick, there is disarray with the Bears. But it's the fact they fired that offensive coordinator. I honestly really kind of agree with you.
Okay, Mike, hold on. I'm taking PH18 for $1,000 against your whatever, whoever wins the most games this week.
You got it.
That's a bet. Okay, guys, we're going to call it. Now, Cantu's up in Washington. Mikey's in Vegas. I'm in Chicago. And Woodley's somewhere.
Yeah, I was supposed to be there in that Chicago, but I didn't get an invite.